showing how to use my templates for perk description boxes, add-on boxes, and so on. If you're not familiar with me, I'm WheatDraws. I make a bunch of Dead by Daylight concepts, and this will be one of several videos as a guide on how to use these assets that I've prepared for you. Granted, this might not be a one-to-one experience for you, but hopefully this will allow you to understand exactly what you're working with. So, first up, we're going to, if we go to the Discord channel where we have all these assets here, you'll also be able to see them on my website as well, where I'll have the links there, but we're using this for as a reference. This list might be a little different by the time you're watching this video or it's put out. There's still some reorganizing involved, so for now we're gonna go with this. So first thing first is we're gonna look here, quick resource shortcuts. We're gonna be looking for text box templates, which is this link. So this will open up a window over here, which I will drag over. This is going to show exactly the text box templates, which is going to be these .xcf files here, cosmetic pop-up and item favors and add-ons. So we're going to, and then there's Roboto fonts, which I will get to once we open these up. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to download all these files in here. And for example, we're going to have this. We're going to download, because I already have it, I'm going to open it up. But first things first, to open these XCF files, you're going to need to go back to this, and you're going to need to go to the online resources and tools. You're going to look for GIMP, which is an image manipulation program. It is a free software. It's similar to things like Photoshop, Paint.net, things like that. This is a very, it's not a very easy to use program, but I've learned it myself, and also looking up the occasional tutorial. So I will try to walk you through at least what you need to know for this use case. But I recommend playing around with it, trying to figure out exactly what you use, exactly how you want to use it. So you're going to download it. I already have it installed, so we're just going to open it up here. Now it'll load up. It'll probably take a little bit longer at first. Yours will probably also look different because I have certain settings for mine. So I have all these here. These are my options. You have your tools up here in the top left, but really we're only going to be using a couple of them. I'll call them out as they come up. So let's say hold on. Let's say I go and I go back to this and I download the items, favors, and add-ons. Scanning for viruses. Put it in, probably had to make a quick cut there just in case. So this is what it opens up to, and this is exactly the file that it is. Well, all the text, everything that's going to be there. So we're gonna look at these different controls that you see here. What you're going to be looking at is effectively just all these different text fields and visual assets as part of this. They're labeled as hopefully as clearly as possible on the right side, or wherever you're going to have your layers tab that you can see by these labels here. And you're going to want to go over here on the left, or wherever you have your tools. You're going to look for the big A. That's going to be a letter. Hover over it. It says text tool. Click that. Any bit of the text here that you find, it will automatically open up that text box. Now, what's going to happen is if you don't have the fonts that are here displayed installed, as soon as you make any edit, they're going to automatically change to, I believe, Arial, which is a default font. So what you can do is, if you think you messed up, don't worry, you can just close it without saving, and then you go back to the Roboto fonts if you haven't already downloaded them. Download them, and you install every font that is inside this zip. So there's going to be all these different types of fonts. Or if you don't want to go through every single one of them, which is kind of annoying, you can just look at this and I will show you exactly what fonts are on this template. So if we click on name here, you'll see it says here Roboto Heavy, which I believe also can be replaced with Roboto Black. And it's at a 28 pixels size. And over here on the left with the text tool, we can see any other modifications. It is left aligned, left justified, hinting medium. You can also edit these yourself and adjust them as you see fit. This is just here for your convenience. And its color is, clicking this white box here, it is all the way up there. So it is solid white. So if we change this to, let's say, green herb, it'll be that. Though most text boxes for authenticity or consistency's sake are all capitalized. So green herb. And then clicking off that, we will see that, and it'll be outlined at whatever layer you're selected here on the left, or on the right, sorry. So if we look at these little groups here, this little minus and plus will expand this folder here. Everything that's in this folder is that top thing, which I call the header. The actual body text is here, and then everything below that in this next group is the box text lines. So my rule generally is that this extra space here, you can also zoom in and zoom out by holding Control and using the scroll wheel forward or back, is that it's always 15 pixels below this. So that's, so this would be about 15, a little bit lower, or a little bit more. So if I take this layer called box end here, take it away, it's just flat. I do this, I give it a bit of padding because it also is not just a straight box, it feathers a little bit. So, and if you want to make more room, or you don't have enough text, or you want to shorten it, you can go up to image up here, go to canvas size, and you're gonna come up with this. So make sure this is unchecked, or this little link here is unchecked, otherwise it will scale consistently. And let's say instead of height 514 pixels, I want to set it to 700. You're going to get a little preview once you hit enter. You can center it, but I would advise not to. You can drag it up and down. That way you keep this at the top. And then you just resize, and now you have all this extra space that will come with the image if you export it. So you can either manually, using this little arrow, this move tool up here, make sure you're going to have pick a layer and guide, or move active layer. Active layer is whatever's selected here on the right. Pick a layer guide means I can just pick anything that I grab, regardless of whatever my current layer is. You're going to grab that. You're going to have this selected as well, the layer. And you can move this up and down, but just making sure you can align it with the edge of where the image is. Everything that is within this gray outline is the image that will get exported or changed. If you make a mistake, like most things, you can hold Control and Z, and it will go back to whatever the previous thing was. You can also do a little shortcut of moving around by holding space and moving your mouse. You don't have to click, you can just drag around and look. So I can manipulate and move around as much as I so please. So if you have this, again, make sure you have the fonts installed. If you can relaunch GIMP and it will reload all your fonts that are on your system, or you can hit this little rescan installed fonts button that is underneath the font tab here. I think by default it opens up to brushes or patterns, but you'll find font here. Regardless, either way works. So let's go through the fonts real quick, all in one go. So Roboto Heavy or Black, Roboto Black or Heavy, Roboto Light, Roboto Condensed Weight 250 Italic. The number one here at the end does not really matter. It's because of the duplicate. And then everything else is either bolded, italicized, or colored. Those are the fonts that I use. You can change the sizes and everything yourself. This is sort of the exact spacing I use, all that stuff. You customize it to how you want it to look. Okay. So, let's go to this. Let's say this is a common add-on. So we're going to turn caps lock on. Common, let's say Super Punch. Punch add-on. And there we go. So we have all that. Actually, I've decided, no, I want to make it a rare. But currently it's got the common background, this brown background. How do we change that? So if you go over here, there's this group called Rarity. That's right in the same group as Header. We open this up. This is the end. Do not delete or turn off. This is effectively this little transparent part here and the end over here. And then over here, you see COUNRAVR, limited, dull blue, pink, orange. These are all different colors that you can use for your text boxes. So, uncommon, rare, very rare, ultra rare, limited item, sort of this dull blue, sort of silvery color, steely color, pink or violet, and then orange. So for this purpose, obviously, we want to turn it to green. And then let's say we want to change this. So if we look at official add-ons or text boxes, they'll usually have flavor text. So let's just say a really cool plant that was grown on the window. So, and then everything here says other notes that I've left for you that will be opened up as soon as you download this template. So let me go ahead and show you the idea of what's behind this. So if I delete all this, I can highlight this. And if you don't want to edit like this, or you find it just uncomfortable, if you go over here on the text size, you can see this little checkbox, Use Editor. It's an external window that you can edit text. It's not super customizable, but if it's more comfortable for you to look at it this way, it is really nice. But I go either way. So just remove this real quick. Now, this little warning here, do not delete what's inside. This is my little cheat code here. So my cheat code is that everything that's in this is the exact spacing you need to do add-ons. So how do we do add-ons? Normally, Dead by Daylight add-ons will have the description up here at the top. And you can write, let's say, makes your jump go 2.5 meters further. Sure, person's got to jump. But how do we do that? So, if you don't know keyboard shortcuts, if you hold Alt and hit 7 and then let go, it creates this little dot here. We're gonna add a space between the dot and makes. And then if you hit Tab, it actually increases the space a little bit. It indents it. And you can use that to give it that little indent that every add-on and different bulleted point on a perk has. Side note, there are some add-ons that have no space here, no enter or return between. I prefer it with a return, but that's up to you. However, let's say we have this effect that says makes your jump gain altitude, and you go about 2.5 meters further than before. Okay, well now we have this kind of awkward whoops. See, I click this thing and it automatically tried to send all the way aside. I'll hit Control Z and it reverts back to where it was before. So, but the problem here is well, now I want it to like line up perfectly, right? So my advice is, after you figure out what exactly you're bolding, like let's say we're gonna have jump right here. These are our control, these little things. We can turn it italicized, or jump gain altitude. And then you go about 2.5 meters. Generally numbers and stuff are always bolded. So we're gonna bold that. Sometimes those differences can change how far text will reach to the side here, or if any will flow over here or reduce back. So I advise doing that before you do what I'm going to show you next, which is we are going to make this indented to line up perfectly. So we're going to backspace, which combines further and than. But then we're going to hit enter or return, whichever you prefer calling it, and it looks like nothing changed. However, what we're going to do is we're going to use what's deleted inside. We're going to exactly delete everything after what's inside, and then delete this parentheses here at the very start. And we're going to leave that. This right here is completely invisible. We're going to Control C, and then we're going to go right before than on this line and hit Control V. We're going to paste it, and it makes it line up as much as humanly possible, so you can have it indented exactly. And the best part is as long as you don't delete this here, you don't ever have to like go back to the template or a copy of the template and recopy it and add it back in. So you keep it on this one line that always separates the quote and the description of the thing that you're editing. So that way it's a little cheat cut, a shortcut to add in or edit. And then, so that's my little cheat code. Same thing with this scaling number, which I will get to here in a second. And then we have the quote here. These little quotation markers here are fine. You can always just erase this and say, hi. And then this is an em dash. That's what this is called. It's sort of like if we compare this to a sort of dash on the keyboard right next to the 0 or the equal sign, it's a lot shorter. I prefer the em dash. I think it looks better for a signature. So we'll say said by WheatDraws. So now we have description, we have our effect, and now we have the quotation. Now the color here, you can always change the color of this if you prefer sort of the darker gray style. This is your little, you can do a color picker, or you can sort of choose something over here, click and hold. Let's make it gray. There we go, now it's gray. If you change this color over here or any of these colors over here, it might change everything, so be careful. But for now, we're gonna revert it back to this. And then we can see that this whole thing here is italicized as well. And now for these, let's say this is a perk and you can just copy paste this. So let's pretend this is going to say cooldown is 40 seconds. Okay, but I want my scaling effect to be this number. So first thing is that generally it's always bolded. So we're just gonna bold this already, but I don't want to color them individually, and I don't want to, let's do 40, 30, and then 20 seconds. Okay, cool. So we have that, but we have to color it. So how do we do this? Well, here's a little cheat code. Let's say we go back to where this says 40, right? And it's bolded. What we can do is we can just double click this, and it should select just these two numbers, or you can highlight it whichever way you want to do it. We already have this copied, so we're going to Control V, paste it. Now it's already there. Cool trick you can do with GIMP is you can highlight it and it will automatically keep the color and also these stylizations. So if I change this to 20, it'll be purple. But if I do it at the end, it'll still retain the color. But if I do it before, it'll be whatever color it was before. So if I try to make this 30, it's gonna look like that. So we're gonna do that, highlight it, and we're gonna do 40. There we go. So that's kind of the cheat codes of all this. You don't have to have this exactly here. Let's say, and then perks usually don't have this bulletin point, so you could just have something where this is just there exactly. And let's say we're gonna cut the perk text box here. Right, so let's collapse this group here. We don't need the header anymore. We have the box end. So the bottom is going to be the quote. It's always going to be the quote. So let's drag that all the way up here. By the way, if you hold a layer, the very dead center of that layer is that little crosshair that you see in the middle. So you can try to use that if you ever try to line something up. So let's do this. I tuck it right here, right below the line. But any of this like little overflow here, this like little feathering from like the letters, like E, A, T, and the S and the punctuation, that's fine. This is generally my rule. So we're gonna have that, but it doesn't look exactly right. So if I click box fill, which is always what I call the middle of this box. If we turn this layer off, this little eye, then we see what it looks like without it. So we're gonna select that layer. We're gonna click rectangle select tool here. And we're gonna drag from here to about right under the letter. And then we're gonna zoom in. We're gonna grab this little, when we see this little highlight where we see like an arrow, a little triangle pointing up to two lines on either side of it, we're gonna click and drag until that top line is right where we want it. And this little moving dash line that you see, that's what's selected currently on the image. So everything here that's selected is there. I'm going to hit delete. which is right above the arrow keys on my keyboard, but it might be elsewhere for you on yours. I'm going to hit delete, and that removes that entire section of that layer. Exactly. And so it looks like a seamless part of the text box now. So we look at it. Cool. It's a little slender. It's a little smooth text box. However, we have these letters, these like the scaling here, still from the text layer because it's still there. So it's just like with the selection, the edge of the text box, we're going to grab this little glowing orange edge here. We're going to drag it up just between the bottom of the new text box and the bottom of the quote. Now, it looks like it's deleted, but it's not. It's actually stored just out of sight. So we can highlight it, and we pull this back down. It's stored, the actual like template stores that data. So you don't have to, so if you're like, oh no, I accidentally deleted like this whole entire line. Oh, damn. Okay, well, at least I have this. I don't need to go and re-download the template again, right? So you can do that. That's another thing. If you don't want to store this here because you're afraid you're going to lose it, you could just store it down here. And my advice would be, just in case, make some parentheses to go around it. That way you know exactly where it is. Otherwise, you might delete it again. So let's shorten that back up again. Great. Now we have this. So the problem is, now if we export this image, we render it, we save it somewhere, it's going to save all this empty transparent space. So what do we do about that? First, we're going to go up here to image, click this, and we're going to crop to content. So what this does is it crops all the transparent edges from all the current visible layers. So if we crop the content, it will automatically crop to exactly where it is, where there's only a little bit of this feathering here on each of these edges. So now we have a perfect thing. For example, if we turn off the entirety of the box here, so it's just text, and we crop the content, it would crop exactly to the text. And then if we turn the box back on, the box is now cropped, which is something we don't want. So we'll just undo that, bring it back. And if we go to crop to content again, that's great. So what you're going to want to do after, if you want to save it, you're going to export as, specifically export as, and you're going to save it as a PNG. And you're going to save it wherever you want, name it whatever you want, and then you should be able to render it. I'm not going to save it right now because there's some concept spoilers that I don't want to reveal too much to yet. But that's basically what it is. My advice is whenever you save it, so if you see this little star up here, like most programs, this means it's unsaved. So you can save your template as it is right now by hitting this Control S or going to File, hitting Save. So next time you open it, it'll be exactly that. And when I save it, I generally try to keep a bunch of this extra space down here so I don't have to add it in later. But sometimes that doesn't always work. And that's how I generally do these icons, not icons, these text boxes, or these sort of or these add-on descriptions. That's kind of the whole method of it. I would recommend it, if you do this, make sure this is one of the last things you do in terms of when you finalize your concept, because this can be very time consuming. I spend easily a couple hours doing these for add-ons, perks, varied descriptions, and then sometimes I still have to go back and fix something because there's a formatting issue, that kind of thing. If you want to figure out what I consider good formatting for add-ons and perks and double checking those methods, you can find the other videos in this series of tutorials, or you can also join the Discord and join the discussion and getting opinions and feedback on your concepts from other people in the community who also want to make concepts and try to elevate them with these various small things like this. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for having an interest. Please subscribe if you want to support me. You can also find my other concepts on dbdconcepts.card.co. That's card with 2 R's. You can also go to my website, WheatDraws, with a dot before the WS at the end, www.wheatdraw, and then WS. Thank you so much.